Canada, we are taking over. It's the Canadian takeover at Wimbledon with Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime looking amazing. Going into the quarterfinals, two Canadian men in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon for the first time ever. It's awesome. Shapo's looking very good. Federer is almost looking like 2019. Fed rolling through into the quarterfinals. Djokovic is rolling in like third gear, just crushing people. Is a Federer-Djokovic rematch in the final of Wimbledon the most likely scenario for the final? We're going to get into that in this episode of The Slice, presented by Rally Tennis. Thanks for being here, folks. Let's get into it. That's right, folks. We have just finished, I'd say like a fairly calm, manic Monday after the last ever Middle Sunday, which I spent with our new friend of the show, Chris Fowler. If you haven't watched that interview, check it out right here. I think it's right here, actually. I always point over here, but it's actually here. Chris Fowler, great guy, came on our show as he was in this ridiculous quarantine. Like we see, he's double vaccinated, obviously. We saw the entire British crowd at these tournaments, but someone on his plane got tested positive with COVID, so now he was in isolation. So I reached out and he was like, yeah, I'll come on the show. We chatted for like 45 minutes. I mixed like a cocktail right here because he likes to do his nightcap recaps on his Instagram channel. So check out his podcast, his Instagram, and shout out to Chris Fowler for coming on the show. People are saying we look similar, like he might, like he's like looks like me, but 30 years older. I don't know if I see the resemblance. But anyways, The Slice is brought to you by Rally Tennis, our partners, the newest tennis app that is the best tennis app in the world, taking over. So it's where you can go and find other players in your area to practice with. You can join local leagues, compete in playoffs, and just basically use the app as your home base for tennis. You can get discounts on gear through Tennis Warehouse. They do giveaways. It's just the full tennis app. So download it. The link is below. Shout out to Rally Tennis for being our presenting sponsor at this year's Wimbledon. This mug still smells like a little beer. I had it in there last night, again, with Chris Fowler. That was awesome. Canadian takeover. I don't know if you know this. If you're new at the channel, I'm obviously Canadian, so I cheer for the Canadians whenever I can. And we've had like the young guns for a long time. Back in 2016, Milos Raonic took out Federer, also my guy, to make the finals. He couldn't get it done against Andy Murray, but that's fair enough. Andy Murray was the number one player in the world, or became that afterwards. And we had this new crop, Shapovalov, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Since 2017, they've been like the big news. They haven't really come through in the majors as much, though. So we have now Felix Auger-Aliassime in his first ever quarterfinal, and Shapo's back in the quarterfinal. And Shapovalov is looking like maybe the form player right now in the whole tournament. I mean, is anyone else just cooking players? Like, he beat Roberto Bautista Agut in the fourth round, who is very good on the surface, and he like basically crushed him today. We're going to get into that. But the Canadians represent 1/4 of the quarterfinals. So you tell me what that means. I think we might have a Canadian winner on Sunday. Just kidding. But Shapovalov playing, I think, just to his potential. So he has obviously all the weapons, all the game, but he lets it loose too many times, as we sometimes see. But in this tournament, he's been playing with controlled aggression, and it's been a thing of beauty. So we've seen him use his power on his serve. His toss is getting better, more consistent, and his serve's working. He's moving so well. He just looks like a pro, and he looks like he's just really grown in to what he's doing, which is awesome. Against RBA, he had 15 aces. He came to the net 34 times, winning like almost 70% of those points, which is a great sign on grass, mixing it up a lot, and returning amazingly. I don't think Roberto Bautista Agut, it might have been an off day for him, but he had around 50% win rate on both serves. So Shapovalov was doing damage on both serves on return. So that's a great sign. So honestly, he plays Khachanov next. I think from what I've seen from both guys, I think Shapovalov might just destroy Khachanov in like 3 sets, maybe 4. Or it could be a battle. You never know how Shapovalov will turn up. We can't count on him like we can the likes of Djokovic. But anyways, that's a very good sign from Shapo, and I'm stoked for the kid. Felix Auger-Aliassime, also stoked for him, obviously, because he's had a bit of bad run when it comes to mentality in tennis. He's obviously still super young. I think he's just 20 years old. Big confidence win against Zverev today. He's lost 8 finals in a row, hasn't won a set, so everyone's thinking this is mental. And then he lost his 2-set-to-love lead today and let Zverev back in it, but then he closed it out, unlike he wasn't able to do against Karatsev back at the Australian Open. So that's huge for Felix. Like, just to be there after the match, he said he was thinking about it, but he just kept playing his game, kept swinging, playing the game style that he would have thought about before the match, and it worked out. And Zverev is obviously not immune to getting tight, and Felix really just went out and took that match, and I saw the end part of it, and that was big for him. So that is awesome. He'll be playing Berrettini next. That's going to be a tough match, but still winnable. Like, you never know what's gonna happen there. So awesome for the Canadian kids. Super stoked about that. Roger Federer looking a lot more like 2019 Fed every match, and this was no exception. Other than 2 games at the end of the first set where he kind of just like froze, and Sonego, who's a great player and a great seed, super athletic on these slower Wimbledon courts, he was able to get almost every ball. He posed a lot of questions for Federer, and Federer answered them. Forehand looked a lot better. Backhand looked pretty good. It looked better. He made less mistakes, I think, just visually from it than he did in the previous round against Norrie. So that was big. Federer's serve, still like a B+. People are saying that Federer's serving is like amazing. It's looking good. Well, 4 aces and 79% first serves won. 79% first serves won is pretty good. It can get higher, though. 4 aces, that's a misleading stat. So I think a lot of those were just Sonego touching the ball. So in reality, I wish they showed us the like unreturned serves. That would be a better stat, I think, because it's the same as an ace basically. But yeah, I give him like a B+ serving performance. I know that can get better. From the ground, a pretty solid 32 winners, 26 unforced error. Sonego's long and athletic and made him work, and he's a good player. So that was another good rhythm and a good confidence building match for Federer. And now he's rolled into the quarterfinals. Haters didn't say he'd make it out of the first round. There's a lot of you who said that he wouldn't make it out of the first round in our preview tournament, and so shame on you. Shame on you for doubting one of the GOATs. Out into another GOAT, Novak Djokovic, is rolling in third gear, it looks like, today. He's had a super easy draw so far, to be fair. It was a very simple win from him today, but not the cleanest from his part. 28 winners, 23 unforced errors, whereas you remember, I think it was against Anderson, he only had 6 unforced errors, so that's pretty crazy. Djokovic only lost 3 points on his first serve, though. That's like over a 90% win rate, which I think that goes, like, he's obviously been serving great, but I think it goes back to Garin not being very good on grass and somehow making it to the 4th round. So Garin was a seeded player, but he's a clay court specialist grinder, and on grass against Djokovic, that's just not going to work. So Djokovic clearly was like in third gear, probably wasn't even that focused during the match, and rolled through. So he's good into the quarterfinal. He'll be playing Fucsovics. Fucsovics took out Rublev. So Fucsovics, he's actually had some pretty tight matches with Djokovic in the past. He was up a set and a break, I think, at the US Open 2018. So that'll be an interesting match. That'll be Djokovic's first real test, possibly. Korda Khachanov was an insane, like the fifth set was almost got hard to watch. There was so many breaks in the fifth set that it was almost funny. It was like, is this the juniors? It was hilarious. So I think Khachanov got broken 6 times and still won that set, which is, I think that's got to be a record. So anyways, Khachanov to play Shapo. I'm picking Shapo in that big time. But let's talk about the final for a second, because we can't do a quarterfinal preview because Medvedev is still playing Hurkacz, and that's going to finish tomorrow. So we'll come tomorrow with a quarterfinal preview. But Federer, Djokovic, I think is looking like the most probable outcome. Djokovic is obviously the favorite on the top half. All the guys that could hurt him are basically on the bottom. And Federer has won the tournament 8 times. He's got way more skill than anyone on the bottom. He's got way more experience. And if he can keep playing the way he is, I'm backing him in each match. I know if he plays Medvedev's the number 2 player in the world, looking good, a lot younger, a lot more in form, still taking Federer, who's won this 8 times. That's just what happens when you win 8 times. People are like, why does he get center court every time? He's won the tournament 8 times. He's won the most amount of matches of anyone ever at Wimbledon. It's like, that's pretty obvious why he gets center court every time. So Federer, Djokovic, though, that's just the most probable outcome. And it looks like it's trending that way because Federer's getting better at each match. And Djokovic, I can't see him losing before the final, really. Shapovalov, if he got there, was feeling fresh, that would be a dynamite match. But obviously Djokovic is the favorite to be in the final. I think Federer's getting to be the favorite. It's still close. Berrettini or Medvedev could make it. But that's interesting. So let me know. 2019 rematch at the 2021 Wimbledon would be so stressful for your boy. And I don't know if it'd be as stressful for Djokovic fans. I don't know who's got more to lose. I think Djokovic does in that match for sure. I said this in 2019. If Djokovic lost to a 38-year-old Federer there, that'd be pretty embarrassing. And that would have sealed the GOAT debate, in my opinion, for Federer. if this matchup happens, we're still away from it to happen. I think Djokovic has got a lot more to lose than Fed does, but Fed also doesn't have the level that he did in 2019, but he might by the time we get there. So lots to think about, lots to debate going into it. What are you guys' thoughts on the match so far? What's your thoughts on my analysis? Check out the chat with Chris Fowler right here, and appreciate your guys' support at this year's Wimbledon. Get brand new tennis gear from courtsidesports.com using our code. You can get brand new tennis gear 10% off. So it's like you want two new rackets, you can save like $50 just by getting them through that website with our code. People have done it. It's a no-brainer. And Bear Mountain is our home court. We play in the clay. This is on the grass. Wimbledon 2021 presented by Rally Tennis is rolling, and we're going to be into the quarter-final preview tomorrow. So stay tuned. Thanks for being here, folks.